Welcome to the debate. Today, we're diving deep into the really intricate criminal investigation at Cedar Crest, drawing from excerpts of The Bat. It's quite a story, and it brings up a fascinating question, really. In a complex mystery like this one, what's actually more instrumental in cracking the case? Is it the methodical, structured approach of a professional detective, or is it the keen, sometimes very unconventional insights and actions of an amateur sleuth? Now, I'll be arguing that Detective Anderson's professional rigor was paramount, truly essential for the final resolution.
And I'll be pitting the other side. It's definitely a compelling contrast. Because while, sure, that structured official approach, it provides a necessary framework, absolutely. But I think we'll see that Miss Cornelia Van Gorder's unique perspective, her knack for seeing beyond the obvious and acting, well, outside the usual constraints, that was the real engine that broke this whole convoluted case open.
I can see why you might lean towards let's say, the allure of the unconventional. But let's really consider the bedrock of, effective crime solving. Detective Anderson, he was assigned directly from police headquarters. He was, I'd argue, the indispensable force in systematically dismantling this elaborate criminal setup at Cedar Crest. His professional skepticism, his rigorous interrogation techniques, and his unwavering focus on actual material evidence, these were just crucial in navigating a case absolutely loaded with misdirection and, frankly, a lot of personal agendas. Take, for instance, how Anderson immediately dismisses the whole supernatural mystique around the bat. That's not just being pragmatic, it's fundamental professional investigation, right? A commitment to evidence and logic. He says things like, "That's going rather a long way for a theory," and makes it clear, the bat is not in the habit of giving warnings. This immediately grounds the whole inquiry in reality, stops them chasing ghosts, basically.
Right.
And he critically evaluates subjective accounts, like Lizzie's talk about a gleaming eye. He correctly labels her as a hysterical and not very reliable woman. Now, that might sound harsh, but it steers the investigation away from superstition towards things you can actually verify. Anderson consistently prioritizes tangible evidence. He meticulously examines that broken French window. He identifies the fragment of blueprint Fleming had. He finds the monogrammed cigarette. His systematic interrogation of Dale, and then later the doctor Ann Beresford, that isn't just info gathering. It's strategically pulling out crucial details about motives, about hidden evidence. It shows how effective that professional structured questioning can be. He even correctly deduces a broader terrorization motive, not just simple robbery, implicating household members like Lizzie, Bailey, Billy, even if his first thoughts on the specifics needed a bit of refinement. And ultimately, his persistence leads directly to arresting Dr. Wells, and through that planned confrontation, unmasking and capturing the guy impersonating the bat. That brings a definitive, formal resolution.
That's certainly a solid outline of Anderson's methodical work, though I might frame its decisiveness a bit differently. You see, Ms. Cornelia Van Gorder, with her what the book calls humorous and quenchless curiosity and that sharp, independent mind, she wasn't just watching things happen. She was, I believe, the primary catalyst in unraveling this whole thing. Her unconventional observations, her willingness to challenge assumptions, these provided critical breakthroughs that, frankly, a strictly professional approach, tied up in procedure, might have just missed or dismissed.
Think about how she proactively unmasks Brooks, the fake gardener, Jack Bailey. She uses those pointed, very non-gardening questions about, rubiola and alopecia. She doesn't wait around for a police report. She IDs him right then and there as the missing bank cashier. Now that's a pivotal moment. It directly reveals a key player and the whole Union Bank theft motive way before Anderson connects those specific dots through, official channels.
Well, connects them verifiably, perhaps.
Perhaps. And she's also the first one to figure out the hidden room exists and how it works. She uses her knowledge from detective stories, rapping on the wall for a hollow sound, and famously declares, "Hollow as Lizzie's head." That's an intuitive leap,
right? Not exactly forensic science. Then there's her ingenious trap for evidence, using the blackened doctor's bag handle to get Dr. Wells's thumbprint on the prescription paper. That's not just collecting evidence, she's actively manufacturing it, linking him directly to crucial actions in a way that standard evidence gathering just wouldn't achieve. And we absolutely cannot overlook her foresight in removing the bullets from her revolver 2 hours ago. That action becomes essential. It disarms the imposter Bat during his final desperate escape attempt, stops more violence, secures the arrest. She consistently shows this deeper, more holistic understanding of the whole crossword puzzle, as she calls it. Even when Anderson's struggling, she correctly identifies the conspiracy, the real unknown element, the imposter, and their link to the bank theft. Even her sort of protective shielding of Dale from Anderson's questioning, that was strategic, making sure the full truth could come out without potentially damaging premature accusations.
Okay, her intuition is, yes, undeniable. But this leads us right into our first real point of debate, the initial identification of key players and spotting the deception. You champion Cornelia's very direct confrontation, which was clever, yes. But how does that individual brilliance really scale up to dismantle what we agree is an elaborate criminal enterprise? Something like that, by its nature, it demands the systematic resources, the procedural authority that only a professional like Anderson can bring for verifiable identification that holds up. Anderson, remember, quickly grasps that the missing bank cashier, Bailey, is connected to the house. Why? Because headquarters tells him about letters found in Bailey's room linking him to Dale.
Right, the official intel.
Exactly. That immediately raises his suspicion, frames Bailey as a central figure in the larger criminal picture. He might not instantly point at Brooks and say, that's Bailey, in that specific moment, but his professional focus is already on the missing cashier and his connections operating within that broader investigative network.
Yet, it's a direct, active unmasking. Her slightly, quirky questions about plant diseases, rubeola, alopecia, they are specifically designed to expose his total lack of gardening knowledge. When he stumbles saying something like, the dry weather is very hard on alopecia, she immediately calls him out. Young man, urticaria is hives, rubeola is measles, and alopecia is baldness. That isn't just knowing a name from a file. It's a clever, immediate exposure of a key conspirator's disguise right there in front of everyone. It cements his identity as Jack Bailey, the missing cashier, well before Anderson can officially confirm it through his procedures. And that initial public exposure by an amateur, I think that's crucial for everyone else in the house to grasp the real stakes and, for the plot to move forward. Could Anderson, bound by his official role, really use such a disarming, unconventional tactic to get that same immediate, verifiable unmasking? I'm not so sure.
Well, while Miss Cornelia certainly has a flair for the dramatic reveal, the bedrock of solving a crime often comes down to the meticulous, systematic collection of physical evidence. And this is where Anderson's professional rigor really shines, which brings us to our second point, gathering crucial physical evidence and countermeasures. Anderson's professional search of the room right after Fleming's death leads him straight to that piece of blueprint in the fireplace. He also identifies Fleming's monogrammed cigarette in the ashtray. These aren't just random items. They are vital clues to understanding the motive, the existence of the hidden room. They form the basis for his whole subsequent investigation, the arrests. He also notes the unbolted terrace door after Lizzie screams, showing his keen eye for critical physical details that indicate how someone got in or out.
These are the maybe unsung but indispensable cornerstones of building a case, painstakingly gathered.
Respectfully, I have to question the idea that just collection, however meticulous, is always the most decisive action, especially in a case so deliberately confusing as this one. Miss Cornelia doesn't just collect evidence, she actively creates decisive evidence. Her plan to get Dr. Wells's thumbprint on the prescription paper using the soot from the bag handle, that's a masterstroke of proactive sleuthing. It's a deliberate act that directly implicates a key conspirator with undeniable physical proof that simply wouldn't exist otherwise. It's a fundamental difference, isn't it? Discovering clues versus proactively generating undeniable proof. And furthermore, her foresight in unloading her revolver when she says, "I took the bullets out of that revolver 2 hours ago." That's not collecting evidence. That's a critical, potentially life-saving countermeasure. That action disarms the imposter bat right at the climax, prevents more violence, secures the capture. It highlights a unique, highly effective approach that really goes beyond the reactive nature of just collecting things. So I have to ask, can you really argue that Anderson's collected evidence on its own without Miss Cornelia's proactive moves would have been enough or timely enough to get to the same conclusion?
Those are certainly compelling actions. Yes, they are. But they lead us right to our final crucial point, synthesizing the complex narrative and achieving the overall resolution. Because ultimately, it is Anderson's structured thinking, his resilience, his commitment to formal procedure that pulls all the threads together, synthesizes the complex story, and provides that overall resolution. It ensures justice isn't just, figured out, but formally delivered. Even though he was temporarily knocked out, even impersonated, he systematically connects the fragmented clues. When he comes back into the picture, he quickly pieces together the doctor's role, the hidden room's importance, and eventually identifies and apprehends the imposter bats. He even meticulously explains how the imposter Anderson, managed to unlock his own handcuffs after being stunned by the doctor. That shows an incredible attention to the mechanics of the crime. His resilience, his structured thinking, that's what delivers the formal arrests, the official explanation for the police. He's the one who confirms the true identity of the unknown as the real Anderson and secures the imposter. That ensures legal closure. Without his authority, his methodical processing, Miss Cornelia's insights, however brilliant, they might have just remained interesting theories.
Well, while Anderson's final formal arrests are, of course, undeniable facts, I'd argue that Miss Cornelia demonstrates a superior, kind of overarching grasp of the entire conspiracy, an intellectual leap that actually makes Anderson's formal closure truly meaningful. Her final crossword puzzle explanation, I think it's in chapter 21, that clarifies the whole complex interplay of characters, their motives, Fleming's, the doctors, the bats, and the exact sequence of events. She explains how the bat operated, how the doctor was involved, even how the imposter Anderson pulled off his deceptions. Her ability to see that bigger picture, even anticipating the bat's methods and connecting them back to the Union Bank theft, it suggests a really unique intellectual capacity for crime solving, one that complements, maybe, but arguably surpasses the detective's formal procedure in terms of pure understanding. She explicitly says it is all clear, and lays out this comprehensive narrative that, frankly, even Anderson struggles initially to fully articulate. She points out that the doctor and Fleming were working together, but then the doctor was locked in with them, meaning there had to be another unknown element involved. This holistic grasp of the why and the how, that's what allows the what, the arrests, to be truly resolved.
And yet, in the eyes of the law, it is Anderson, the professional, who makes the arrests, processes the scene, handles the legal side of things. His methodical approach ensures the case is brought to a formal close, not just understood as an intellectual puzzle, but has, concrete steps toward justice.
But understanding how all those pieces fit, the real motives, the methods, that's precisely what allows that formal closure to be meaningful, to be robust. Without Miss Cornelia's unconventional interventions, her broader intuitive understanding of that intricate web, maybe the crucial pieces wouldn't have even been on the table for Anderson to formally connect and prosecute. They complement each other, yes, absolutely, but the amateur's insights, I think, often cleared the path.
Indeed. And this discussion has really highlighted the distinct yet, as you say, often interlocking approaches of professional and amateur sleuthing. When facing something as complex as a conspiracy at Cedar Crest, I still maintain that the methodical interrogation, the systematic evidence collection, and the sheer persistence of Detective Anderson were ultimately necessary to formally solve the case, make the arrests, and provide those concrete, legally binding steps toward justice.
And I would reiterate that Miss Cornelia Van Gorder's shrewd, often unconventional observations, her proactive traps, and just her willingness to follow her intuition, these often provided the critical breakthroughs, the protections needed that really enabled the truth to come out. They illuminated the path forward precisely when, perhaps, conventional methods had stalled or hit a wall.
So both perspectives certainly shed light on the multifaceted nature of detective work. It suggests that finding the truth in these really complex situations often requires, well, a blend of rigorous procedure and that intuitive insight. We'll leave it to you, our listeners, to consider which approach you find most compelling in the intricate, shadowy world of the bat.